Driving a trailer is tricky, and it completely changes the way you need to drive, from what you need to look out for and how you move. And driving isn't the only factor. Properly loading a trailer and hooking up your trailer is the difference between a devastating accident and a safe trip to your destination. But not to worry, by the end of this video, you'll know everything you need to know to select, load, and drive a trailer like a pro. The first component of any successful trip with a trailer is knowing your vehicle. Now, when looking at your vehicle, there's a couple of things like, is your hitch safe? What is your vehicle rated for? And does it have a brake controller and light controls? If we take a look at my FJ Cruiser, it's equipped with a 4-pin connector and a 2-inch receiver. Now that we're here with the FJ Cruiser, it's also always a good idea to inspect your hardware if you haven't already. Make sure it's not rusted, make sure it's properly bolted in or welded, and check for any signs of potential problems. Now, you don't have to inspect your hitch every time, but if it's a vehicle you just acquired or you haven't inspected it in a long time, it's a good idea to take a look. This 4-pin connector on this FJ Cruiser is designed only for controlling lights and not brakes. However, this doesn't mean you can't have trailer brakes on a setup like this, but we'll get into that later in the video on the brakes section. Now, in order for your vehicle to control the brakes, you're going to need a 5 or 7-pin setup, like on the F-150. Additionally, if you want to connect a 7, 5, or 4 pin onto any connection, there are available adapters to connect any setup to any option. Taking a look inside your vehicle, we can find a few things that make trailering easier. On more modern vehicles, you'll be able to set your drive mode to trailer, and in some cases, you'll also have a brake controller. These features are nice, though they are not necessary. Now, the most important factor when taking a look at your vehicle is knowing its tow capacity. And finding your tow capacity isn't always as simple as it might seem. Now, a vehicle's max capacity is divided into multiple factors, including the weight of the truck, its passenger, cargo, axle ratings, and weight distribution on the trailer. Now, if you want to properly calculate load capacities for your vehicle, you have to understand multiple factors in terms including curb weight, GVWR, GAWR, GCWR, and a lot more. Now, you'll also need to know the weight of your cargo, passengers, accessories, side steps, bed liners, tools, and all other cargo. All of this should be taken into account to deduct or calculate your max towing capacity. Now, if all this sounds way too complicated, that's because it is. To get things properly dialed in, you have to take into account a lot of things. However, unless you're an aspiring trucker or CDL driver, you don't need to know the intricacies and math that go into proper cargo. A special thanks to Woodworkers Guild of America for making this video possible. Woodworkers Guild of America is your online resource for woodworking instructions, ideas, and information. Soon, I'll be using my trailer to get a bunch of supplies to build some built-in cabinets in my home. That being said, Woodworkers Guild of America is and will be an invaluable resource to get my cabinets to come out professionally. The site has countless videos on joinery, finish, cutting, precision, and quality. The expertise in the videos is unmatched, and it's clear that every video is carefully thought out and created by professionals. There's also a ton of projects for my honey-do list. My wife is always asking me to build her new things, and fortunately, Woodworkers Guild of America is always creating premium videos to keep you coming back for more and help you stay inspired. The first 1,000 of you to click the link in the video description below will get a full year of premium membership to Woodworkers Guild of America for only $1.49. Which is valid for new members only. Back to the video. Now, the first step to figure out your tow capacity is to go online and search for your specific vehicle's tow capacity. Now, make sure it's the identical model with the same wheelbase, engine, transmission, and model year. And as a word of advice, do not take the AI generated response. Instead, try to find something a little bit more reputable, either from a manufacturer or a more reputable site. To illustrate, the AI response for my FJ Cruiser is 5,000 pounds. But this is incorrect and frankly dangerous. The FJ Cruiser is only rated for 4,700 pounds. However, keep in mind that the more you load your vehicle, the lesser your tow capacity is left. So just be mindful not to overload both the truck and the trailer. And that is your tow capacity. Now, you also want to know your tongue weight, but we'll cover that a little bit later in the video. One final, often overlooked consideration on your truck is to make sure that your tires are capable of handling the weight. Now, stock tires will always match or exceed the vehicle's capacity, but if you've had them replaced, it's worth making sure that they are in fact capable of handling the weight you intend to carry. The next consideration is your hitch gear. Now, the most common hitch is a 2-inch receiver hitch, which of course fits a 2-inch hitch. But you also have other receivers such as the gooseneck and the RV fifth wheels. Now, these other two receivers are mostly used in heavy-duty, high-load applications. But still, the most common is this 2-inch receiver. Now, those 2-inch receivers also have three main ball sizes, from 1 7/8 inch, 2-inch, and 2 5/16 inch. Though again, the 2-inch ball is the most common size on most trailers. The next thing to look at is our trailer. Now, the first thing to check is if our vehicle is going to be able to pull it. In the case of the RV, we know that the max weight rating is 19,000 pounds, so we'll need a vehicle that could tow that amount. In this case, we'll also need a vehicle installed with a fifth wheel, which we don't have. But this, of course, is inordinarily large, and we're not typically going to be moving something like this on a day-to-day basis, at least not me or most people. Now, something more realistic is something like this. In this instance, this is a homemade trailer, and we don't have proper numbers on the weight ratings or load capacities. But we do know that the trailer weighs around 1,300 pounds. Now, our FJ Cruiser can pull 4,700 pounds. So we'll want to make sure we never exceed 3,400 pounds of cargo on this trailer. 3,400 pounds is simply the tow capacity minus the weight of the trailer. Now, we also want to make sure the trailer can handle this weight. A lot of axles could have a weight rating to them as well, and your tires will also have a weight rating, so you can kind of figure out its max weight rating by those numbers. On a standard trailer, you can find the weight rating on the sticker for max load and simply take the total weight rating and subtract the load capacity, and that is the weight of your trailer. From here, again, it's a simple subtraction to calculate how much weight you can load on this particular trailer. Additionally, you never want to exceed the max load capacity of your trailer, even if your vehicle can handle more weight. Alright, once you have your trailer, the next important consideration is properly loading the trailer. And here is where mistakes are made. Improperly loading your trailer will result in poor control and could lead to a lot of damage. And in some case, loss of life. So it's important to know how to properly load a trailer and how to identify the signs of a bad weight distribution. Now, before loading our trailer, we'll first need to attach it. You'll need to attach your trailer to your vehicle so it's not moving around. If the trailer is not hooked up, it's going to jump around and it could damage your trailer. Some trailers have loading legs, but this isn't the standard, so you're going to expect to need to hook that up to load the trailer. Now, to hook up the trailer, you're going to want to approach the hitch coupler with your truck. A friend or backup camera can help line this trailer up a lot easier, though of course, it's doable alone. In my case, the trailer I own is light enough that I could just get close and lift the trailer up and put it in its position. Now, this isn't always particularly safe, so use precaution. Okay, once your trailer is lined up, you're going to wind down the jack and get the receiver into the ball. Now, if it's not quite lined up, it's going to get caught up and the ball will not go into its position. Now, if you're a rule-abiding citizen, you're going to want to jack that trailer back up and realign the truck. However, if it's close, I always just use some gentle persuasion to coax that into the proper position. Okay, once your hitch is in position, always finish the hookup process and double check you've done it right. If at this point you get distracted with something else, you could end up forgetting to finish hooking everything up and drive off. Do not ask me how I know this.
Hold on! Come on! Hold on!
To finish hooking up, first lower the lock latch and ensure it locks into position. Then add your safety pin. In my case, I like using a lock which deters would-be thieves from getting any funny ideas with the trailer. Then get your chains and hook them into the proper location. Chains go in a cross pattern. Then connect your trailer plug, and finally, don't forget to wind the jack up all the way. If you leave it down halfway or a little bit, it increases the chances of it getting stuck on something. Don't ask me how I know.
Ah, shit. God damn it.
And with everything hooked up, we're ready to load our trailer. Loading a trailer must be balanced with a bias towards the front with 10 to 15% weight on the hitch, known as tongue weight. And the rest of the weight must be sitting on the wheels of the trailer. In the case of a gooseneck or fifth wheel, that tongue weight may be 15 to 30%, thanks to the better weight placement over the axle. However, for your general bumper hitch, you're going to want to never exceed over 15%. Now, let's say you do this wrong and you load your trailer too heavy towards the back. In this case, you're exerting a negative force on the rear of the truck, meaning that you're lifting the already light rear end of your truck. You're actually carrying some of the weight of the truck by the trailer. And this severely reduces traction on your vehicle and your rear wheels, resulting in a combination that very easily loses control. On the other hand, if you front load your trailer, you're likely exerting too much force on that hitch, increasing the probabilities that it's going to fail. But even if it doesn't fail, this excess weight on the front is going to lift the front of the truck, again, reducing traction on that front end and possibly causing loss of control. All this information is great and all, but how do we know that we have 10 to 15% on that hitch? Now, getting this percentage right can be tricky, and there are some nice hitches out there on the market that have a weight gauge on them that let you know exactly how much weight is on that tongue. But these are expensive, and for most of us, especially casual trailer users, this is just not necessary. So, how do we make sure the trailer weight distribution is right? Now, the trick here is to watch your trailer and see how it behaves as you're loading it. Looking at the coupler and ball, you could tell if it's resting on the ball or pulling up on it. As we load our trailer, the trailer will shift from the back to the front, and this is near your point of balance. From here, you'll want to push your load slightly forward a little bit more, and just like this, you have a close approximation to 10%. It's not perfect, but it's certainly closer than eyeballing it. Now we're almost to the driving stage, but one last consideration is to keep your trailer level. A level trailer is ideal for aerodynamics and stability, so having an adjustable height hitch can help keep that trailer as level as possible. But again, for the occasional user or lighter loads, this just isn't necessary. Next, let's talk about brakes. When you go to use a trailer, having brakes on the trailer will drastically improve safety and control, especially as those loads get heavier. Now, the two main types of brake controllers are mechanical and inertial sensors. Now, some vehicles will already have an inertial sensor controller already installed. With this controller, you can adjust the intensity of braking, and the brake sensor detects the vehicle's slowing down or accelerating and accounts for that braking on the trailer. Now, these pre-installed units are nice, but there are a lot of aftermarket controllers that can be easily installed in any vehicle, and they usually work in the exact same way. Then we have mechanical brakes, which work entirely on their own and do not require a controller or extra equipment. A lot of U-Haul trailers are equipped with these mechanical brakes, and the reason for this is that they're hard to use incorrectly. Now, these brakes essentially apply on their own as you slow down and the trailer is forced against the vehicle. And as the vehicle accelerates and maintains speed, your trailer is no longer pushing against the vehicle, thus no longer engaging the brakes. Now, the downside to these mechanical brakes is that they're really hard to adjust and dial in, so dedicated controllers can be adjusted to produce better results. Now, when using a brake controller, the goal is to match the braking force of the trailer with the vehicle. If you're driving and you feel the brakes aren't doing much to stop you, then you want to increase that sensitivity of the controller. However, if you brake and it feels jerky, like the trailer's really pulling you back, chances are your sensitivity is too high and you need to lower it a little bit. Alright, we're almost ready to take off. If our vehicle has a trailer mode, we'll want to switch to that if available. There's a lot of optimizations that go into trailer modes on vehicles, but the main change is that the vehicle will shift at higher revolutions, thus increasing the power output to pull more weight. Now, here in our FJ Cruiser, we do not have a trailer mode. However, we can get the same result by manually controlling the shifter gears. We can drop the gears to the lowest setting and manually increase the gears as we reach the revolutions we want. If you encounter a challenging hill and your truck's just not keeping up, you can lower those gears and maintain higher revolutions around 3,000 to 4,000 revolutions. However, the way that I've always done it, and my recommendation, is that if your vehicle doesn't have a trailer setting, just leave it in regular drive and only lower the gears if you feel it's low on power or struggling. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground getting to this point, and we're finally ready to get on the road. Driving your trailer can be tricky, and if you've never had this extra limb attached to your vehicle, it will take some getting used to, and you always have to be mindful that the trailer is there. Oftentimes, especially on long trips, you can forget the trailer is there at all and try to merge onto another car or make a turn that's not wide enough and end up hitting the sidewalk. So always make sure you could see your trailer in the mirrors and stay aware of its presence. Okay, so the first thing is turning. When you turn any trailer, your turn should be as wide as possible. Trailers do not follow the same path as your vehicle, especially as trailers get longer. For example, if we turn around this bucket, our truck perfectly clears it, no problem, but the trailer isn't as successful. So always keep in mind to take sharper, wider turns when possible. The next challenge that comes with a trailer is reversing, and this is one of those skills that most people find challenging. However, Just like with every skill, practice makes perfect. So simply practice and observe the behavior of the trailer and how it moves. Eventually, after enough practice, the movements of the trailer will become second nature. Reversing with the trailer is counterintuitive, so turning your wheel to the right will make your truck move to the right. However, it'll make your trailer move to the left, and turning to the left will make your trailer turn to the right. So to counteract this, we need to position and account for these movements. For example, if we want to turn our trailer to the left, we'll first need to turn our vehicle to the right. Once the trailer starts to turn to the desired direction, we correct and straighten the vehicle out with the trailer. From here, we just need to maintain everything as straight as possible and move backwards. But again, just like every skill, practice makes perfect. And even parking games on your phone can help develop an intuition for how trailers behave in reverse. Alright, up to this point, we know how to pick, rate, connect, check, load, and drive our trailer. The final step is unloading trailers. And just like with loading your trailer, you want to unload the trailer hooked up to the vehicle. Now, if you were to unhook the trailer while loaded, it leaves the back free to pivot down, and if this happens, it could end up damaging your cargo. However, sometimes I use this behavior to my advantage. Now recently I purchased 2 large toolboxes which weigh around 500 pounds each, so getting them off was a challenge. Instead, we chalked off the wheels, unhooked the vehicle, and used a floor jack to slowly and carefully lower the trailer to the ground. Once the trailer was on the ground, it was much easier to just slide the boxes off the trailer, a job of which I'm not sure we would have been able to do otherwise, at least not with just 2 people. And that is everything you need to know on properly using your trailer for the first time. Now the next step is knowing how to properly strap down your cargo, and for that, watch this video next.